All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to bring this meeting to order, if I could, please. Good afternoon and welcome. We're delighted to be in Everett again for the continuation of a meeting that we started some time ago. All right, as I mentioned, we are continuing a meeting that we started some time ago, and because this is a formal meeting that's required by statute, I'm going to read a couple of things that we need to have on the record before we start, and then we'll turn to the comments that those of you who have signed up are prepared to give. Today is Tuesday, August 12, 2014. That much, I take it, everybody knows. This is a public hearing before the Massachusetts Gaming Commission relative to the application for a Category 1 resort casino license submitted by Wynn Massachusetts, LLC. My name's Jim McHugh. I'm one of the commissioners. I'm joined by Commissioner Gail Cameron on my right, Commissioner Enrique Zuniga on my immediate left, and Commissioner Bruce Stebbins on my far left. And the four of us will preside over this hearing. We're located today at the Edward G. Connolly Center at 90 Chelsea Street in Everett, and we're here today to conclude the public hearing that began on June 25, 2014. As you may recall, we left that hearing open at the end of the day so that interested individuals who did not previously have an opportunity to provide comments would have a chance to do so, and to allow individuals an opportunity to comment on any event that has occurred since we began on June 25th. This is not, however, a hearing intended to provide individuals with a second opportunity to offer comments on the same subject matter as before. The Commission is scheduled to begin final deliberations for the award of the Region A gaming license during the week of September 8. Actually, we're going to begin on September 8. The public support for the Wynn proposal, or the lack thereof, will be an important factor that the Commission will evaluate in making the final award of the license. And accordingly, your presence here today and at the previous hearings and the written comments that you've provided will play a pivotal role in the decision. And I can assure you that all of the written comments that so many of you have written over the course of this process, which began some time ago, have been read by each of the commissioners, and we value what you've said very greatly. Thank you very much for being a part of this process. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everybody what the process is and establish the ground rules that will follow. The hearing is intended to provide the Commission with an opportunity to address questions and concerns relative to the applicant's proposal to build a gaming establishment, as those plans were set out in its second phase application. That application, both the first and second phases, are available on the Commission's website. The Commission may include topics related to the scope and quality of the area and the amenities, the integration of the gaming establishment into the host and surrounding communities, and the extent of the required mitigation plans. Additionally, the Commission will receive input from members of the public and from any impacted community. At the previous hearing, we heard a presentation by the applicant, as well as presentations from representatives from the host community of Everett, as well as representatives from surrounding communities. We then began taking public comments, and we'll pick up at that point today. At the conclusion of the comments from members of the public, we will afford the applicant and the city officials, the mayor, he is here with us today, an opportunity to make any closing comments they would like to make. Any commissioner may at any time ask a question of the applicant or of anybody else. In an effort to make the best use of all of our time, we ask that any member of the public proceed in the following fashion in addressing the Commission. First, if you'd like to address the Commission, you must be on our, I should say, list of speakers. Some of you signed up in advance. If you didn't sign up and you wish to speak, the sign-up sheet is still open at the front door. If you send an email to the Commission to sign up, as I say, you are on the list, and we will call you. When I call your name, please come to the microphone and state your name. Tell us where you're from. I'm going to call 2 names at a time, and I'd like the second person I call to sit in that seat marked reserved right behind Mr. DeSalvio, which we'll call the on-deck chair, so that you can easily get to the microphone and we won't have time getting you to the front. In order to ensure that everybody who wants to speak gets an opportunity to do so, we ask that you limit your comments to 4 minutes. We have a clock up in front of you that'll count down the time, so you'll be able to tell how much time has elapsed and how much time remains. And be sure, please, that your comments or questions relate to the particulars of this proposal and not to your general views on gaming and casinos in general. Finally, we recognize that there's a great energy and a great passion attending these issues. We are dedicated to an orderly, and I know we'll have an orderly and thoughtful gathering here tonight, despite those sometimes high passions. For those of you who submitted written comments about the project, please know that we will continue to review any that come in before our final decision. And at the close of this hearing, we will close the proceedings, and the law then says that the Commission must take action on the applications between 30 and 90 days from the date the public hearings are closed. As I said, we intend to start those licensing hearings, the final licensing hearings, on September 8th. I'd like to take just a couple of other minutes before we start, because there has been much reporting in the media over the past several days about some actions that the Commission took last week regarding the city of Boston's status as a surrounding community. We have at the front sign-up desk a number of Q&A sheets in which we've laid out, I think, in readable and understandable form what our action meant. But I want to touch on a couple of high points of that and then leave you to take one of those sheets with you. If you don't get one tonight, the same question and answer series is featured prominently on our website, and I urge you to go there. The first question on the sheet is, what action did the Massachusetts Gaming Commission take on August 7 regarding the city of Boston's status as a surrounding community relative to the Wynn proposal? The Commission determined, the answer is, that the city had waived its designation as a surrounding community by refusing to participate in the surrounding community arbitration process the Commission's regulations require. The second question is, does the decision mean that the city of Boston will not receive any mitigation payments from Wynn or other mitigation if Wynn is selected as the licensee? And the answer to that is no. The Commission has an obligation, notwithstanding the city's election not to participate in those proceedings, to impose whatever conditions the Commission thinks are appropriate in order to mitigate harms that it discerns. The Commission cannot and will not do the kinds of negotiation or the kinds of, take the kinds of steps that a city and then the applicant, any city and any applicant can achieve through a negotiated process. The committee's powers are much more restricted, but the Commission still has the obligation to impose appropriate conditions. Does the decision impact the Commission's prior decision to determine what conditions it should place on Wynn regarding a community impact fee or any requirements it deems appropriate for mitigation of Boston impacts? Again, the answer to that is no. Does the waiver of surrounding community status now preclude the city from applying for community mitigation funds? There's a provision in the statute that allows cities and towns affected by casino operations to apply to a fund that will be created by the gaming revenues that are generated through operation. And those cities and towns can apply for payments from those funds to deal with unanticipated consequences of operations. And again, the answer to that is no. The city will be able to apply for those funds if any unanticipated issues arise. And the final question I want to touch on is, why did the Commission take the action? And it did so because, in essence, the Gaming Act says that applicants can only proceed with their license applications if they have agreements with cities and towns that have been designated as surrounding communities. In order to prevent a surrounding community from effectively vetoing an applicant's proposal simply by refusing to enter a surrounding community agreement, however, the law also required the Commission to create protocols and procedures for assuring that a surrounding community agreement was reached. The protocol and procedure created by the Commission is contained in a regulation requiring arbitration or waiver of surrounding community status. The city was aware of that regulation and mentioned it in the letter in which it informed the Commission that it refused to arbitrate. Accordingly, and as the regulation provides, the Commission deemed the city's refusal to arbitrate as an election to waive its status as a designated surrounding community. So I hope that clears up what may have been some misunderstandings with respect to the Commission's action last week. As I said, the entire Q&A sheet is here and available to all who would like to see it, and the entire content of that is available on the Commission's website. So with that behind us, let me turn to the business at hand, which is the comments that all of you who are in attendance are prepared to either present or to hear, and I do that by calling first on Wayne Matuski, Representative Wayne Matuski, to begin the proceedings, and Frank Parker, the Vice Chair of the Everett School Committee. I'd like you to come forward, if you would, to take a seat in the, we'll call it the on-deck chair behind Mr. DeSalvio. Representative Matuski.
Thank you, Chairman McHugh, and members of the Gaming Commission. Welcome back to Everett once again. I think this is my 14th appearance at any hearing that you've had, not to mention the 50 or so coffee hours that were held throughout this community. Everett is a humble community, Mr. Chairman. This is a game changer. We have put up with industry that has polluted our community. We finally have an opportunity to address that polluted property and have a 5-star resort, not just the casino, but the water infrastructure, the boating, the fishing, and all the nice things that will occur with that. As you may know, we just completed the Alfred Street Bridge project. It took 4 years. That traffic impact over those 4 years have kind of skewed what people think about traffic in this community. The back up at the Rotary, I'm sure you saw it with this construction going on. It completed August 1st, finally, and we're very pleased about that. So that being said, I know I've been here, as I said before, and this is a humble community. We put up with trains and trucks, and now most recently airplane traffic noise from Logan Airport that is impacting this community in a negative light. We need something like this to pick ourselves up, and we have a lot of good things happening here in Everett. There's all kinds of construction, the old Market Forge property on the Revere Beach Parkway. We have so many opportunities that are coming our way. Now, it's my understanding, Mr. Chairman, that this vote that was taken in June of last year was the greatest victory margin of any casino referendum in the country. The city of Everett, almost 90% of the people that voted, and reside here, voted for this resort. Now, you're going to make a decision, I believe it's September 12th or somewhere in that range. We need you to really take a close look at what we have to offer as opposed to the neighboring city of Revere. That is a 3-star operation, from my understanding. The rooms are smaller, they don't have the waterworks that we have. We need this to change the way of living in this community. It's going to be a great asset to our community. The people want it, and I can tell you, over the many months that I've been traveling throughout this city, Mr. Chairman and members, every day I hear, how's the casino coming along? And I said, well, I'm pretty sure they're going to make a decision September 12th. And I hope you do. You've been very nice to this community. You've been here several times. You're honorable people. This is the one you should grant. The City of Everett Wynn Casino. This is the place where it belongs. They can walk to Little Italy in the North End. They can go to Charlestown and see Old Ironsides walking from this casino. It just makes sense to me in this community. And I want to thank you for your patience. And I have to leave. I want to apologize to the people who will be speaking after me. I have a wake to attend. But I want to thank you. We love seeing you here in Everett. And we hope when this casino is built that you'll come and visit us too. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Representative. Mr. Parker. Let me call then City Councilor Joseph McGonigal. And the next speaker will be Vincent Rigucci. And Mr. Rigucci, if you could come down and take a, well, you don't have to move far, do you?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Councilor Joe McGonigal. I've been to the meetings that you've had, mostly for the Everett residents. But I do want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to express my views about the Wynn Casino and Resorts. And I don't want to reiterate what you're going to hear over and over again tonight, so I'll be very brief. First of all, Everett is fortunate to have a man like Mr. Wynn leading the quest for a casino license in Everett. His business skills are legendary and have produced many successful resorts in the U.S. and other countries. I've heard a lot of talk about traffic. Traffic is not an unsurmountable problem here in Everett. The representative just recently mentioned the Albert Street Bridge reopened a lane that had been closed while the bridge was under construction for a number of years. And now that that is open, the traffic flow has been better than ever. And I've been here for 55 years. I'm the former alderman in that area of the city, right where that casino wants to be built. So I'm very familiar with the site. And with that effect, you know, and apparently a small act can make by just opening up one lane. Mr. Wynn has even further plans to improve the traffic flow that I believe you've already seen or have in front of you. And that is a necessary step, not only for our community, but for the success of the casino itself. He also has imagination. Transportation by boat is also part of his plan. Ferrying low-structured vessels from Boston Harbor to the casino will reduce traffic, and it will give a special touch to the Everett Resort Casino. Mr. Wynn's plans call for the cleaning up of the Mystic River and the remediation of the Monsanto nightmare. This will save Everett and the Massachusetts taxpayers the expense of a $50 million bond that our Senate has just recently drafted in the State House. I commend him for that. And his plan, Mr. Wynn's plan, will not only save the taxpayers money, but it will make the site finally environmentally sound. I want to thank you for your consideration, and I'm sure that in your wisdom, you will weigh the benefits to Everett and to all the taxpayers of Massachusetts in making your decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Rigucci, and the next speaker is Ivy St. John. So if you'd come down, Ms. St. John, you can be ready to go. Mr. Rigucci.
Good evening, Commissioner and Commissioners. I'm going to set the tone, I hope, for the rest of the evening, because for us to start talking about traffic and about this and that you've heard so many times, I think it's just a total waste of time. But I think it's important that I say to you, because I have seen either on television or, as you know, I've been to most of the hearings. Not enough credit is given to the 4 people or 5 people who are part of this commissioner's group. You have been more professional than anybody could ever see in the position that you're in. I understand and I know the work that we have done as citizens of the city. And we have done this because of His Honor the Mayor and what he saw in a vision of what he wanted to do in the city of Everett for him, for the constituents, for the city, and just as important, for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He obviously is looking for a nice check. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts needs the money for their budget. So through the efforts of our mayor, we went out as a private citizens group and brought in 87.5% of the vote on a 100-degree Saturday when everyone should have been down at the beach. They were voting. They wanted the people of Massachusetts to know that we want the casino here. And what happened? In comes Mr. Wynn. And then he sort of backed off, but he left us with some of the most professional business people you'll ever want to deal with. When you require certain items to be presented to you, you didn't get it on a piece of paper, you got volumes. Because we wanted to make sure that everything that you asked for was presented once. We didn't give you a bunch of notes that somebody else may have done and changed the titles on it and snuck it through to you to make you happy. Everything was done in time, on time, and professionally. These people who are sitting here today, they not only represent Mr. Wynn, they represent us as part of our family. Because we sit down, we talk to them, they explain, they don't hold back anything. They tell us where they're at. And then, of course, give credit where credit is due. The people who are sitting here today, they're here, and I hope when they come up to talk, they're going to talk on a limited basis because our game plan is to get you out of here at a reasonable hour. There's no reason why we shouldn't. You've heard it all already. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, from all the people here in the city of Everett, from the Wynn family, and from the city. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ragucci. Ms. St. John, and next will be Ellen Wallace. Ms. St. John.
That's a hard act to follow, but
It is.
I do want to commend you on the openness and cordiality of your process, both the four of you, and you've listened, and you've asked questions, and they've been good questions, and your staff and the consultants. Very gracious, very cordial, and very interested. I'm here today to speak to you as a member of the Charlestown Waterfront Coalition, the Rutherford Avenue Sullivan Square Advocacy Group, and the Rutherford Corridor Improvement Coalition. All have written letters to you in the past. In light of the fact that I drafted all the letters for various steering committee editing and approval, I have summarized for you their major concerns and requests. Of key interest to the Waterfront Coalition is the absence of a public remediation plan and process for the upgrade of the Monsanto site. The prevailing wind over Charlestown is out of the northwest, and we are southwest of the site, as is the river. Regardless of the remediation process, the remediation process not only impacts us, but also Somerville and all the cities and towns along Route 93 North, where the remediated soil will have to go. We request the Commission require WIN to carry out a public remediation plan and process with regular and frequent updates to the key surrounding communities. In addition, the construction materials will some of them will access the site through Charlestown, and CWC requests that the Commission require WIN to present publicly his construction management plan and to provide regular and frequent public updates to the surrounding communities. Both the Rutherford Avenue and Sullivan Square Advocacy Group and the Rutherford Corridor Improvement Coalition urge the Commission to require WIN to provide detailed traffic analysis of the Rutherford Avenue Sullivan Square redesign, despite the Department of Transportation suggestion that they exclude it because it was not funded. We would point out that all the transportation mitigation WIN has committed to is not currently funded, and that values at over $61 million. We urge the Commission to require WIN to do the appropriate traffic analysis of the redesign plan. Furthermore, we urge the Commission to require WIN to contribute all or a substantial part of the full cost of the redesign. In any event, the WIN commitment should be greater than the sum of the one to Everett and the other surrounding communities. Further, although August 6 MAPC memorandum suggests to you the redesign plan cannot successfully absorb the WIN incremental traffic, we respectfully disagree. The Partners Healthcare has committed to a U-turn under Route 93, which will allow WIN's southbound traffic to enter 93 southbound in Somerville, not coming through Sullivan Square except on the perimeter if the redesign is built. Finally, and to that end, we urge the Commission to require WIN to engage in a robust and public alternative mode monitoring and evaluation process to make sure that they meet their objectives for the offload of vehicle trips through Sullivan Square in Charlestown of 29%. It is critical that that be publicly monitored and reported on. I've got only 20 seconds. I just want to say thank you, and I have 10 copies of the letter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, next is Ellen Wallace. Ms. Wallace is not here. All right, Liz Levin. And the next speaker will be Jay Campbell.
I am Liz Levin. I live at 342 Bunker Hill Street. I've been involved in helping the city of Boston develop the redesign plan for Sullivan Square, and I did it not for a check, but because I want to be able with my neighbors to walk or to bike to the Orange Line and to be able to drive safely through Sullivan Square. I want to just address very briefly the transportation, and that is the work that was done in the FEIR assumed that the Rotary would be there in 2023. Everyone knows that that Rotary doesn't work very well, whether you're in the Rotary or you're trying to get into the Rotary. So we basically want as a license condition that you fund the Sullivan Square phase of the redesign project. It just makes sense. Rotary doesn't work now, don't have it not work in the future. And then the second part is, as Ivy said, I really liked the sustainable development transportation plan, but you can make it even better with better monitoring, a little study with the Orange Line to make sure it's doing what's possible, and also re-looking at the size of the garage. So I want to say to you, simply, September 12th, you'll make a decision on the casino. You have heard from the good people before me many of the reasons why they believe you should say yes. I just say, if you believe it is the right choice, then please also have as a condition that you fund the redesign project, the Sullivan Square phase of it, and also that you put in some further measures that make that transportation sustainable development plan even better. So those two things would matter. So please remember, okay, remember that if it's a time for a Wynn casino, it is time for a new street network at Sullivan Square. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Levin. Jay Campbell. Mr. Campbell. Anthony DePiro, and Mr. DePiro, would you come down if you're here to sit in the ready seat? Mr. Campbell.
Well, thank you. My name is Jay Campbell. I'm a resident of Medford. I do not live in Revere or Everett, so I come to it from a different perspective. I spoke yesterday as well, and I talked about how I looked into the financial aspects of Brigade Capital's 60% owner, and I was really surprised at what I found. And I want tonight to talk really about Wynn and Mohegan, and the differences between the two, because I think it's pretty startling. And also when you look at their business makeup, it kind of makes sense. You know, revenue was down for Mohegan Sun. One of Mohegan Sun's comments from the CEO was that this is across the board on the gaming industry as a whole. And if you actually look at the reports that was released a few weeks ago by Moody's and by Fitch reports, you can actually see that their earnings is actually worse than the industry average. And one of the reports, one of the items stated in the Fitch report was that revenue derived by slots is going to be decreased from 85% today down to 75% by 2030. And right now, the slot revenue is the largest single source of casino revenue for Mohegan Sun. And that revenue was down 9.1%. And the reason why this is, I think, so important is with Wynn, they were going up. They've way beat expectations. You know, Mohegan has gone worse. The other thing, too, that Mohegan has done is they're about ready to develop a 400-room casino hotel. The problem is they don't have the cash to do it. So what they've had to do is go to an outside party, have them build the hotel, own the hotel, and then lease it back to them. The property they want to build in New York, they're doing it with a 50-50 partnership split. With the Wynn Casino, it's 100% ownership, 100% responsibility. I think these differences are pretty staggering. I think that another piece of it that really comes into play is Mohegan's own advertisements, Mohegan's own branding, which is where closer than you think. We are only an hour and a half from the casino down in Connecticut. With the Connecticut casino, according to reports published, they have an agreement with with the capital firm that they will not market their Connecticut casino. They're a regional player. They say they're a regional player. Now they're not going to brand their own Connecticut casino. The people with points, the cards. Busing, there's 9 different companies in the state of Massachusetts that bus Massachusetts residents down to the casino in Connecticut. They want to build one here in Revere. They're only going to have a 40% ownership stake. It just, all of this just doesn't really add up. And the fact that the vehicle that they're using to fund it, you could call them a venture fund. They call themselves a few different things. It just doesn't make sense. They're not in it for the long term. They're in it to make money and get out. But I will stick to what Vinny said and not stay too long. So I just want to say thank you. I mean, my concern, I'll leave this here, what I looked at and why I feel this way. And I'll give it to you. So I'll just do that. So thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Campbell, thank you very much. Mr. DePiero and Marlene Zizza is next. So Ms. Zizza, if you'd come down. Mr. DePiero.
First off, just want to thank you, the Gaming Commission, for allowing me to speak tonight. Like Vinny, I'll also be brief because I know you guys have been through a lot. Also, it's nice to see the great showing again, representing the 87% that came out in support a little over a year ago. My name's Anthony DePiero, 19 years old, and I've lived in Everett my entire life. My family has owned and operated a construction business here for almost 4 decades. Everett's our home, and there's no other place we want to call home. As a sophomore at Suffolk University, I see Wynn Everett as an immense opportunity for young people like myself. As I've grown up, I've seen the common practice of young people growing up in Everett. They move on, get their education, they leave Everett behind and go to bigger and better things. Wynn Everett, with all the added benefits of tax revenue, tourism, infrastructure improvements that have all been talked about over and over again, it creates a unique opportunity for people to be able to have a career in their own hometown. They can come back, something we haven't seen since the long days of Market Forge and GE based in Everett. When I commute to school, I go through Santilli Circle, Potts and Wellington Circle, and Sweetster Circle to get onto the T. Once I'm on the T, it only takes me about 10 minutes to get there, but sometimes it gets me 45 minutes just to get to the station. Wynn's improvements that he's committed to make are not only going to alleviate the traffic associated with his plan, I think it's going to make it better than it is today. I want to thank you for all your dedicated work over the past few years throughout this process. You guys have had a lot of curveballs thrown at you. It hasn't been easy, but you've shown your impartiality and dedication, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. DePiero. Ms. Zizza? And William Lamb is next, so Mr. Lamb, if you'd come down. Ms. Zizza.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. It is a pleasure to speak to you again about WIN's proposed project. As you may recall, I'm a small business owner in Everett. Previously, I had talked about the importance of small business to the community and the numerous ways the WIN project would benefit local businesses. These benefits included utilizing local suppliers, generating additional discretionary spending for its employees, and attracting additional tourism to the region. Today, I'd like to talk about another aspect of the WIN Resorts project that I don't think has been fully considered, and that is WIN as a top employer in the region. Many people may know that the WIN project will offer not just jobs, but careers, as demonstrated by its recognition as the #1 large employer in Las Vegas by its employees in the Las Vegas Review-Journal's Top Workplace Survey. They may also know that WIN Resorts was named a 2013 Forbes 5-Star Award winner and now holds more 5 stars than any other independent hotel company in the world. Forbes Travel Guide's star rating designations are the gold standard for hospitality excellence. To my point, WIN Everett is poised to join the ranks of our top private employers in Boston, placing WIN Resorts among such long-standing, prestigious Boston institutions such as State Street Bank, Fidelity, and John Hancock. We all know that WIN Resorts project will provide more direct benefits to Everett, and Mohegan Sun's project will provide more direct benefits to Revere due to their host community statuses. However, this isn't just about what's best for Everett or Revere. This is about what's best for the region and the Commonwealth. WIN has demonstrated its high-performing success through its recent earnings report, the feedback of its employees, and its numerous awards. As a city, a region, and state, we should be doing all we can to attract and retain these types of businesses. It's clear that WIN Resorts would be an esteemed addition to the list of prestigious Boston employers. Thank you for your time and consideration of this important project.
Thank you, Ms. Zizzo. Mr. Lamb and Michael Mangan is the next speaker, so if you'd come down, Mr. Mangan. Mr. Lamb.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is William Lamb. I'm speaking on behalf of the Charlestown Preservation Society Design Review Committee. As I read the Sullivan Square sections of the final environmental impact report from WIN, I was surprised to see that all the drawings showing Boston's well-thought-out plans for the development of a new pedestrian-friendly, smart growth community in Sullivan Square were gone. These drawings were included in the earlier draft report, but were replaced in the final report with drawings that would keep the badly functioning Sullivan Square Rotary in place. Keeping the Rotary is not an acceptable solution. We all know that it should not be part of Charlestown's future. In its final report, WIN has presented plans only for the improvement of traffic moving through the Cambridge Street-Marfa Way intersection. The Main Street and Rutherford Avenue intersections at the Rotary are not analyzed. WIN's traffic consultant said to us in a meeting that these intersections would probably operate at level of service F and unsatisfactory performance. They would also remain hazardous to pedestrians, physically handicapped individuals, and bicyclists. They need to be fixed, but cannot work in the current configuration with the Rotary. The final report says that the proposed Cambridge Street-Marfa Way traffic mitigation is sufficient prior to the opening of the casino. Something needs to be done to make Sullivan Square traffic work long-term when the casino is open. The final report does not provide this solution. The draft report showing Boston's plans does, and it shows how. The problems can be resolved by integrating the proposed Cambridge Street-Marfa Way mitigation with the construction of the city's plans as shown in the draft. Who will pay for this critical work? This casino project should not go ahead without a satisfactory answer to this question. We believe that WIN should be required to fund the design and construction of Boston's plans so that the work can be completed on an expedited schedule to mitigate the traffic impacts of the casino. The scope of the work could be defined as the streets shown in the with directional arrows in figure 481 in the draft report. We request that, as part of the work, WIN obtain updated existing traffic numbers for reference. If WIN does fund the Sullivan Square improvements, it could become part of Boston's exciting future. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lamb, thank you. Mr. Mangan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And Michael McLaughlin is next, so Mr. McLaughlin, if you'd come forward. Mr. Mangan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. I've spoke many times in front of you. I speak proudly here again. Again, as I want to echo the sentiments of some of my previous speakers, thank you for all the time and effort you put into it. You've been definitely throwing a lot of curveballs, and you've been nothing but professionals, so I just want to say thank you on whatever choice you make. I'm just here to talk about a little bit of the difference between the Mohegan Casino and the Wynn here in Everett, and how they, in terms of, how the operations are going, and why I think there's a clear difference. Certainly, as one of the previous speakers, Jay, just mentioned about the financial stability, 9 of the last 10 quarters, Mohegan has seen their financials gone down, while in that same time, Wynn has seen a very good increase, especially even during tough times. Still, Wynn's been able to weather the storm. A couple of, recently in Commonwealth Magazine, you might have read, which I did read online recently, the gentleman doing the interview, his name was Bruce Mall, had asked Mitchell Edis, what's the reason for, for the basically the increasing revenue, and his quote was, customers are coming out, but they're spending less. He also asked Steve Wynn the same question, and knowing that, Mr. Wynn had seen increases in revenue, has said, and I quote, his resorts do a good job of targeting high-end customers with lots of discretionary spending, and I think that's very, very important. Also, one of the big key differences, as was pointed out earlier, is that Wynn's going to be the owner of the land. He's going to run the company. He's going to run the company, and he's also doing the financing. As we know, over in Mohegan, Suffolk owns the land. Mohegan's going to run the casino, but Brigade Capital is going to be calling the financial shots. So, and this will be the first time, if I'm not mistaken. I know they have some small holdings in some other casinos here in the country, but I believe this is going to be the first time ever that a Brigade or a hedge fund would hold a majority in a casino here, and I think that's very troubling to me, anyways, considering how hedge funds go. Also, recently on Mass Live on the website, they talked to Steve Wynn, and they talked about his being a solid company and how it's become solid. And he's quoted as saying, I think this is very important. He says, and I quote him, everything about our company is rooted in the principle of a story very old that's still relevant today, the 3 little pigs. We build houses of brick, and our houses of brick take a little longer to erect than some of the others, but they're built for the long term, and we're seeing that now, and I think that's very, very important. And I'll leave you on this. I just saw, actually, the last couple of days, it was a YouTube interview that Steve Wynn did from out in Vegas that was done by the Wall Street Journal and the Hoover Institute. And the gentleman had asked him, you're #1 out in Vegas, and you have certainly a lot of competition out there, and what sets you different from any other resort out there? And he said, the biggest thing, he goes, I'm driving the culture here. And he says, by driving the culture, he says, but the biggest, even more important than that, is the employees are driving the experience at our resorts. He goes, and that experience is second to none. And I believe that still people will get the same experience here in the state of Massachusetts, only for Everett, for all the Commonwealth. So I thank you for that, and I hope you'll consider, supporting Wynn. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mangan. Mr. McLaughlin, and Daniel Skerritt is next, so if you'd come down, Mr. Skerritt. Mr. McLaughlin.
Members of the Commission, good evening. It's great to stand before you again this evening, as I have numerous times. Tonight I put together some prepared remarks because I've made so many comments in the past that I wanted to try to bring it all together tonight, as is our final opportunity to speak to you. Thank you all for this final opportunity to speak prior to our important decision on September 12th. Many of us in this room tonight, including myself, have spoken to you previously. Some of what you hear tonight you've heard before. but consistency of the message only reinforces our belief that when you look at the facts, they demonstrate that the Wynn Everett project is the best of two plans being considered. Wynn will invest millions of dollars to clean up the contaminated waterfront property that has laid dormant and useless for decades. I strongly believe it is better to have private developer pay for this cleanup than our tax dollars. That investment alone, the cleanup of the land, provides a relief in terms of public and environmental health and otherwise would not exist. Add to that 3,600 construction jobs and 4,000 on-site jobs that will include benefits and training, with hiring preferences for Everett residents. In addition to that, consider Wynn's Resorts' generous offer of preferential hiring for Suffolk Downs workers should Revere not win the license. $65 million will be spent on infrastructure and traffic improvements throughout the area. Millions more are to be paid annually to the city to enhance community services such as police, fire, and schools, and the annual payment to local businesses through the purchase of vouchers and gift cards. I applaud Mayor DeMaria and his administration for signing what I truly believe from day one was a strong host community agreement, and I applaud the mayor tonight for the same reasons. These are just some of the benefits to Everett, but Everett is not the only community to benefit from this quality investment. Chelsea, Lynn, Cambridge, Malden, Medford, Melrose, Revere, and Somerville all have signed surrounding community agreements that total around $4 million in annual payments. In spite of the fact that the Walsh administration has continued its antics and posturing and refusal to negotiate a surrounding community agreement with Wynn, which would bring in around $2.6 million annually to that city, Boston businesses and residents will still reap significant benefits. One example being in that the water taxi that will connect the resort to the North End and Seaport District. Also, Wynn has committed nearly $60 million to spend annually on goods and services from the surrounding communities to the host community. The mayor of Boston and his advisors fail to understand one thing, and that is he is no longer in the legislature, where you can occasionally run out the clock on a proposal you may not support. I hope you recognize the generous offer Wynn made to the residents of Charlestown. This is the most lucrative offer made to any community except East Boston, where Mohegan Sun needed to buy off a no vote. The financial strength of Wynn's resorts and casinos is well documented. Steve Wynn's commitment to this project has been demonstrated time and time again. The benefits of this project will bring to this area are far-reaching and have been often enumerated. The people of Everett have demonstrated their overwhelming support for this project by attending these meetings and participation in the group Everett United, which has truly been a voluntary group, but through the most powerful action any citizen can take at the ballot box. Almost 90% of those who participated in the special election last June voted yes to bring Wynn to Everett, compared to the only 63% in favor of Revere's proposal. The stark contrast to both election results is that 800 Everett citizens, which is a drop in the bucket, voted no, compared to the thousands of Revere citizens that strongly rejected Suffolk Downs' proposal. I believe that when you consider all of these facts, you will come to the same conclusion that the people of Everett have reached. And on September 12th, I truly look forward to your unanimous vote in favor and Wynn of Everett. Thank you for coming to our city. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Mr. Scarrett, Mr. Alafaris is next. So, Mr. Alafaris, if you'd come down. Mr. Scarrett.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
We thank you again in the city of Everett for coming to our beloved town. It's an honor to have you here. We thank you for all of the hard work that you've been doing. And we know that you've had, as probably two other people have said, many curveballs thrown at you. But we know that your task is difficult, but we know that you will make the right choice. What I have to say is very brief. I will follow the leadership of Mr. Vincent Rogucci, that we won't keep you here late this evening. I had my points to make, but again, as things come around, the speaking points do change. I will speak from my heart. Before going to bed last night and trying to imagine what I would say with the news of Mr. Robin Williams and the passing of him, and waking up this morning and still wondering what I would say, I thought about what it means to be beloved. And beloved as Mr. Williams was, we know that the media and everyone is pretty much feeling the effects of his passing yesterday. Mr. Wynn, when he decides to do something, he does it well. You've heard many people say, we know that the other community believes that the brand that they present is best, and that's fine. But we know that Mr. Wynn is a worldwide brand. He knows how to do things. He knows how to present. He knows how to bring forth the best that there is in the industry. The Wynn Resorts is the best in the industry. We've heard about 3 stars. We've heard about 5 stars. We know that Mr. Wynn is a 5-star operation. We have traveled as Everett United. We have gone through the communities. We have gathered several responses from the various communities, whether it be Somerville, Ashland, Brighton, Somerville, Cambridge. Those you have documented in the many hearings that you've had. We do know that these communities, we've reached out to them, they have responded, and they have come to realize that Wynn is actually the best thing for Massachusetts. Hence, they have signed with us. We've also had response from Ohio and New Jersey, Mississippi, even the United Kingdom. These are people who are hearing about the little town and city called Everett and what it could mean to a region, what it could mean to Massachusetts. We are here on behalf, as we are Everett United and supporting the Wynn team. We look at what you would look at. We look at what you would look for, which is the best that Massachusetts can have, which would be the best that the communities in Massachusetts can have, which would be best that the families in Massachusetts would have, which is the provision of jobs. In closing with 1 minute, we also know that there is this scenario that's playing forth in the media with a particular brand and corporation. The employees on one side and the board on the other side. Mr. Wynn does not have that issue. There aren't any layoffs. There aren't any financial issues. What there is sound employment for families. And Mr. Wynn will bring that. There are 4,000 jobs, permanent jobs. There are 4,000 construction jobs. We have a city of Boston or the surrounding towns or the state of Massachusetts where there are very, very good schools. Bringing jobs, security, safety, health issues that can be met with a permanent job. Those are the things that Mr. Wynn is bringing. Permanent, sound families, which would mean that my children, my grandchildren, the children of others in the community or in Massachusetts will be able to afford the schools. So, commissioners, I know that you have a difficult task in deciding between the two, but we know that you will use your conscience and your best judgment. Wynn is the best for Massachusetts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scarrow. Mr. Alafaras and James Mazzoni is the next speaker. So, Mr. Mazzoni, if you'd come forward to Mr. Alafaras.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Richard Alafaras. I'm a resident of Boston, and I live on Beacon Hill. I am also a Vice President of Local 26, Unite Here, the hotel workers, and I've worked at the Omni Parker House Hotel for 37 years. As a resident of Boston, I strongly support the Wynn proposal. Good jobs are the most important benefit to the surrounding communities near the casino. The Wynn proposal will provide the largest number of jobs and the best quality jobs. And that is what is going to be good for Boston residents, the city of Boston, and the surrounding communities. My union has achieved a high standard in union hotels in the Boston area. Wages for hotel workers who don't earn tips range from $18 to $19 an hour. We have banquet servers in the city in our union who make over $80,000 a year. We also pay just a few dollars for our health insurance, no deductible and no copay. We have eyeglass program, a dental program, a legal program, the training program, where I have taught training for people to become bell persons and door persons. We are the only local union in the United States of America that has a housing fund, which the hotel owners give $10,000 for members to purchase their first home in the community. Our jobs are the new middle-class jobs in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The union hotel jobs are good jobs in Boston. I worked my way through college. I got married. I raised 2 children. I've had paid vacations to take my children to Disney World and Canopy Lake. I was able to take them to dancing and karate and soccer because I only had one job. If you have a minimum wage job, you have to work 2 jobs in this expensive area. You don't have time to help your kids with the homework. You don't have time to volunteer in the community, and you're very tired when you get home from work. And if you don't volunteer in the community, it brings the community down for every citizen in the community. Wynn Resorts is used to meeting the standards that we have in Boston hotels. Unite Here members have won the same high standards in Las Vegas, where Mr. Wynn's hotels are. And in Las Vegas, Mr. Wynn contributes financially to the Union's Training Center that is like the local 26 hotel training center. This casino will be here for over 100 years and will set the community of standards for families for generations to come. The most important benefits to Boston, to Everett, and all the cities of the greater Boston area will be the permanent jobs that are well-paid, stable, and provide good union benefits. That's what you'll get with Wynn Resorts. I believe the Wynn proposal is the best deal for Boston. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alfaro. Thank you. All right. James Mazzoni, and the next speaker is Paul Dobbins. Mr. Dobbins, if you'd come down. Mr. Mazzoni.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Jim Mazzoni. I am owner of on Route 99. I am a business owner on Route 99, very close to the proposed development. I own and operate Malden Auto Body of Everett. I spoke in support of this project the last 2 meetings. I am here today to continue voicing my support for this project. I spoke last meeting on the topic of the infrastructure changes that will come about as a result of the wind development. I will try not to be repetitive. I feel this area of Everett is in great need of some changes. One of the most beneficial changes would be diverting some of the larger trucks to a so-called truck route. The roadway at present is used as a cut-through to access the market area in Chelsea. Also, it is heavily used for the coming and going of bituminous products. During our years in business, my business and many other businesses in the lower Broadway area have had to deal with many tractor trailers that use Broadway as a passerby to get to their final destination. The Wynn Group feels that with some proper diversions, these trucks could be routed in a much more feasible fashion. This would ease the congestion and confusion that currently is displayed on Route 99. As a business owner in this area, I feel that these changes will help my business greatly, for my customers will find it much easier to navigate through the lower Broadway area. The problem that exists on Broadway is that there is no left-hand turn lane. There has been numerous accidents involving vehicles either being struck from behind or hit while trying to turn left, crossing 2 lanes of traffic. Many of these people have been my customers turning into my street. They are coming to me with a problem, but now it turns into a bigger problem. The plan is to add left-hand turn lanes that will allow vehicles the proper amount of time to proceed across Broadway. The Wynn project is addressing this situation. Another problem area that we had to deal with was the Sweetser Circle traffic, especially so in the AM between the hours of 7 and 9 a.m. The main problem being the vehicles bunching the circle into 4 lanes, chaotically going into 2 lanes. This bottleneck at times would take me at least 20 minutes to get a half mile to my shop. The Wynn project includes a more sophisticated traffic light system that will sync the lights on Lower Broadway, allowing traffic to flow more steadily. It also would post signs and designate lane proceedings. This will help not only myself and my workers, but also my customers that have to drop off their cars in time for work. Over the last 2 years, we saw a great influx in traffic snarls on Lower Broadway due to the Alfred Street Bridge. The bridge is finally complete and it is beautiful. There is now a big difference in traffic flow. The Charlestown-Sullivan Square side is also moving better. The repaving and lining of lanes on that circle has already made a tremendous improvement in the traffic flow. The Wynn project is offering more help to improve this roadway even further. In my business, we depend highly on parts being delivered on time. We need congestion on these surrounding roadways. Our parts suppliers come from all over the greater Boston area. With the improvements the Wynn project will allow, especially areas like Sweetser Circle, Santilli Circle, Wellington Circle, and Sullivan Square, my business and many other businesses in the area will benefit highly by these improvements. These improvements to the infrastructure will add beauty to this roadway and to Boston and to our city. We have an opportunity to make Everett have better and safer roads. We can't let this opportunity slip away. I wish the entire Wynn Group all the luck in your pursuit of this casino license. I think the whole city of Everett and myself are hoping for a favorable outcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Massoni. Mr. Dobbins, Edward Lucas is the next speaker, so if you would come down, Mr. Lucas. Mr. Dobbins.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
When this process first started, you addressed the importance of community support. And I have some visuals over here to actually show you how much this project is supported. First one, on June 22nd of 2013, an unprecedented 87% of this city, which somebody mentioned earlier is a record for a referendum in the country, supported this project. Along with the 8,000 plus supporters we have, the 87%, and of course in this day and age of social media, we have 11,000 plus likes on Facebook and numerous follows also on Twitter. As Exhibit 2, after the election, Everett United reached out to surrounding cities and towns, and we got thousands more to agree that Wynn Everett is the best choice for the region. And number 3, Massachusetts. We have nearly 12,000 identified supporters from across the Commonwealth, and that support stretches from the Berkshires all the way to Provincetown. And this next one is very interesting. This is the United States map. We have letters of support from over 40 states, which includes Alaska and Hawaii, along with quite a few from the surrounding 5 New England states. And the last one is the business support. Business supporters of Wynn, we have over 600 letters of support from regional businesses that agree that Wynn Everett is the only choice for this region. Now, I still have a couple minutes. Okay, in closing, what I'd like to do is actually thank you, the commissioners. You know, I've been involved with this kind of from the beginning and seen how it's gone, and it's kind of been a marathon. Been a lot of curveballs thrown your way, but again, I'd like to thank you, the Wynn team, Bob DeSalvio, Kim Sinatra, Mike Weaver, John Tocco. There's a few that aren't here. Most of all, I believe the person that brought this thing to us and has allowed us to get to this point is Mayor Carlo De Maria. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for all your work. Jamie Erickson and the team. And again, hopefully on September 12th, whenever it will become a reality. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Dobbins. Mr. Edward Lucas, Rob Goulding is the next speaker. If you'd come down, Mr. Goulding. Mr. Lucas.
Yes, Ed Lucas, 21 Thorndike Street. I just want to say thank you to people who come out and hear us again. And I, too, don't want to be repetitive. You know, we've heard a lot of talk about traffic, right? But no one has brought it up yet, you know, to my knowledge about. We've had other developments going on in the area, such as like Assembly Row, you know, the Hood Park in Charlestown. But, you know, none of them had offered up any money to mitigate traffic, nor has the Commonwealth, you know, demanded they had to. So, and all this talk about mitigating traffic, you know, right out of the gate, Steve Wynn is proposing $5 million for the infrastructure of Sullivan Square and $1 million a year for 20 years. It's $20 million, you know, offering as opposed to no one else did. Which, you know, and the same kind of value is true with Tilly Circle, Wellington, Route 99, and, you know, the ferry boats and all that stuff. You know, unlike the Partners and the Assembly Row and the other ones. And I have a little bit more to say, but everybody already kind of covered some other things. So I just want to say thank you for the time. And as you deliberate, keep that in mind about all the infrastructure, the money that was involved and been offered up front for it, as opposed to any other project in the community that did not. And I thank you for your time.
All right, Mr. Lucas, thank you, sir. Mr. Rob Goulding. All right, Jackerson St. Jean. And then the next speaker would be Michael Smith. So if you'd come down, Mr. Smith, to the ready chair. No, I thought,
Someone went the other way.
no, he left. All right. Is Jefferson St. Jean here? No. Michael Smith? Joanne Jackstimer? Yes. And then Barry Hawk will be the next speaker. Ms. Jackstimer.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Joni Jackstimer. I'm the Regional Executive for Bank of New York Mellon in New England. And I'd like to thank the Commission for this opportunity to speak about the concerns we have relative to the proposed Wynn Everett Casino and Resort. By way of background, Bank of New York Mellon is one of the world's largest investment management and investment services firms. Our roots in Massachusetts run deep. We were founded in 1875 as Boston Safe Deposit and Trust, a name with which many of you are familiar. Today, we have over 4,200 employees based in the Commonwealth, including more than 1,200 who work at our complex 384,000 square feet located on the Santilli Highway in Everett. BNY Mellon has been Everett's leading employer for more than a decade. We contribute over $36 million to the regional economy each year through our corporate taxes, and we pay annual property taxes of more than $1.1 million. Billions of dollars in global financial transactions are processed each and every day in our Everett facility. Given our close proximity to the proposed casino, we're here today to reiterate our concerns about the impact it may have on our employees and on our business. Over the past several months, we've held productive meetings with Mayor DeMaria, as well as with city and state officials, to discuss the project and to learn more about the steps that Mr. Wynn will take to mitigate the impacts this development will have on our and other local businesses. Our concerns are mainly related to the issues around traffic congestion, the rebuilding of the Santilli Circle, bridge replacement over the Orange Line, and the schedule for completing these and other off-site improvements prior to the casino's opening. The proposed casino would be located barely half a mile from our offices, and the potential influx of thousands of visitors and new employees to the area will certainly put a strain on Route 16, Santilli Circle, and the neighboring roadways, roads that are already prone to traffic jams and roads that our employees will have to use to get to work each day. We do understand that Wynn has outlined its commitment to design and fund both interim and permanent fixes, such as the new signage, curbing, traffic signals, and intersections, and that the state is also planning additional infrastructure improvements. We've been pleased to hear this news, and we're optimistic that those improvements will be delivered as promised. We'd like to continue to be part of this process with Wynn, the City of Everett, and the state as talks progress on these traffic mitigation plans. In addition to the traffic impact, BNY Mellon is also concerned that a casino could lead to increased crime in the immediate area, including threats to property and individuals. Obviously, employee safety is of paramount concern to us and to all local employers. So we'd appreciate hearing more about how this will be addressed. In closing, let me again say how much we appreciate the chance to be here today to share our concerns over the proposed casino and its possible effect on BNY Mellon. As the City of Everett's largest employer, we want to continue to work cooperatively to ensure any major development is conducted in the best interest of our employees and the community where so many of them live and work. And as you move forward with the process, we'll trust that you consider these issues closely so that employers like us can continue to do business here, help support the local community, and provide a safe and attractive workplace for our employees and for our clients. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Hawk, Robert Rowley is the next speaker, so Mr. Rowley, if you'd come down. Mr. Hawk.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm pleased to appear before you again. My name is Barry Hawk. I'm Director of UAW Mass Gaming in Region 9A of the United Auto Workers. I've testified before about the Wynn application and Wynn's refusal to even discuss labor harmony agreements for gaming dealers until a license is awarded. Nothing has changed in that regard. Our recommendation then and now is that if Wynn is awarded the license, the Commission should attach a condition that requires Wynn to sign strong, enforceable labor harmony agreements with unions that cover all of its permanent non-supervisory employees, including gaming dealers. We're repeating our recommendations today at this time because we don't want it to get lost in a crush of other conditions that you might be considering, especially with regard to mitigation for Boston. The Commission established a precedent for this type of condition when it attached a similar one to the slots parlor license, requiring the licensee to adhere to the wage scales provided in its RFA2 application. The statute provides even stronger protections for wages, benefits, and working conditions by requiring detailed plans for labor harmony agreements, which are the path to union representation and collective bargaining for workers. Although Wynn has strong relationships in Las Vegas and elsewhere with several unions, and they claim they will have labor harmony agreements here, this provides no insurance that all of its employees, including gaming dealers, will be covered. This is important because developer operators are often resistant to collective bargaining with gaming dealers because they're the largest and some of the highest skilled gaming employees at a casino. Avoiding timely agreements is contrary to the intent of the statute and is designed to engage unions when they have less leverage. The only way to ensure labor harmony is to insist that Wynn sign enforceable neutrality and card check agreements before the license is awarded or as a condition of the award. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Robert Rowley and Stephen Rocco will be next. So, Mr. Rocco, if you'd come down. Mr. Rowley.
Yes, thank you very much. I'd like to thank the committee for listening to all of us. Hello, I'm Bob Rowley. I'm a Malden resident, and I've spent my whole life in the area, working in Everett and Boston, Medford, Malden, Stoneham. And I've been here through this whole time holding signs, and it's been our great hope that the casino comes here to Everett, to a small, hard-working city of Everett that's and its citizens. I've watched and listened to everything, both sides, with a lot of other people here in Everett. And 87% of the people here in Everett want and need this gorgeous hotel to be built on a piece of land that literally has no future without this happening. Revere, on the other hand, has had many things, and it doesn't have the same type of piece of land like this that no one can use. It's had the dog tracks and the horse tracks, the Revere Beach, and I've actually enjoyed many times over there at the beach and the Cyclone and the Wild Mouse. Revere is a great place, and we love it, and it will continue to be so. And the people always go there because it's got the beach and everything else. But although both places are in close proximity of each other and of Boston, it has been said many times in these meetings and also on the newspapers and everywhere else that Everett is like a little bit like the Cinderella town of a city, and it has done a lot of the work over the many years and decades for the entire area. And a little bit, it has that beat up area down there, the Monsanto plant that cannot be used for anything else now, unless Wynn comes and picks it up. So the stepmom, okay, so it's still a little bit like the Cinderella, whereas like Boston is more like the stepmom in that story. But anyways, the sister has been a little bit bullied. It has been bullied by Everett a little bit, and I don't feel like, I do wish that they had entered into an agreement with Everett, and I think that would have been a very good thing to happen. I've been watching and listening to everything, and I just think that it's the only chance for this contaminated site to be cleaned up and unpolluted, and should make all of Everett neighbors and any town that's even touching the shoreline happy, because by cleaning up the water, by cleaning up that area, that seeps stuff into the water will be cleaner for everywhere. So, let's see. Sorry.
Take your time.
Yeah, in Charlestown too. I have a son that lives in Charlestown, and they should be happy also because it'll also clean up an area that connects right to their border. So the wind proposal will be clean up the toxic site right on your border in Everett. And like a phoenix rising out of the ashes, a beautiful 5-star hotel will be there with its beautiful landscaping area and little boats and stuff, as you can see over there. So in my final words will be, please consider Everett proposal. It's Everett's only chance to see its story, have a happy ending for. If this doesn't happen, this polluted toxic site probably won't ever be used, and no one but Steve Wynn has the money, and thanks to Carlo and everybody else here in Everett that's tried so hard to in the vision to get this place cleaned up and finish the Cinderella story properly. So please give Everett its only chance and dig its way out of the ashes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rowley. Stephen Rocco. Phil Romeo will be the next. So, Mr. Romeo, if you'd come down. Mr. Rocco.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Rocco, and I'm the past president of the Everett Chamber of Commerce. And on behalf of the business community in Everett, I've been asked to say a few words. You know, when this proposal first came before the chamber, and as we love the community, we always like to study businesses coming into the community. But we had to take a pause because we knew that a project of this size would change the face of Everett. And we studied it very carefully. And we came on in behalf that we thought it would change the face of Everett in a positive way. And I'd like to give you the reasons why. One of the things we learned is that Steve Wynn builds destination complexes, destination resorts, excuse me, thank you. So they're more than a casino, more than a group of restaurants, more than an entertainment venue. It's an experience. And as a business community, we think that people that work hard have a right to enjoy that leisure time in a world-class facility. And that's what it's going to be. We learned that it's going to be the nicest venue, not only in Boston, in New York, on the East Coast. Theoretically, people could come into Logan Airport from all over the world and the country, take a ferry to the Wynn Resort, go over to the convention center to do some work-related things, go to Rose Wharf and spend money in Boston, go to the aquarium. Everybody wins, not just Everett, not just Boston. The surrounding communities, Somerville, Medford, people from all over the world are coming here to enjoy the area. So I think one of the things that hasn't been stressed enough is we hear from all the experts that there's a saturation point in the casino business. There's only so many dollars. Well, this is more than the dollars. This is an entertainment venue. This is drawing people from all over the world to a first-class facility. So it's not Boston dollars. It's international dollars. It's national dollars. Everybody benefits. The other thing I'd like to say is I grew up very closely to the Monsanto plant, and you'll have to forgive me because this is coming from a funeral director, but that land has been dead to the community for years. And if you look across the water, we see what's going on at Seaport right now, and we know what that was 5 years ago. Just use our imagination to look on the other side. On the north side of Boston Harbor is opened up. The ripple effect of a casino being there and the economic pebble that could be stretched with different types of venues on the north side of Boston Harbor, again, whichever one wins. People from all over the world come to Boston for their colleges, for the medical facilities, for international travel. And everybody wins. Theoretically, one night we can be sitting on the Mystic River and listening to a concert by Paul McCartney in a world-class facility. Without criticizing the other project, it's a casino. And we see what's happening with casinos all over the country. This is a 5-star destination resort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Orford. All right, Phil Romeo, Robert LePage.
Good evening. Bob LePage, Massachusetts Casino Career Institute, Training Institute, Springfield, Massachusetts. I want to thank you for the opportunity this evening to just give you a quick update on our continued planning, particularly with Wynn Resorts and here in this community. Just a few weeks ago on the 21st, we had the opportunity, 5 community colleges as well as a number of community-based organizations and workforce development organizations to spend an afternoon, particularly with the general manager, Mr. De Silvia, and talk about his experience in Northampton Community College. And I say in Northampton Community College because that's really where he worked in his prior experience, embedded in the community college, about workforce strategies and how we could ensure that these 4,000 jobs are jobs that are new opportunities and new pathways for people of this community as well as their surrounding communities. It's clear that his experience is an asset to this community and an asset to Wynn Resorts, maybe one that the Commonwealth wouldn't see initially, but we'll see over time. There is an ongoing partnering process with a realization that supporting adult basic ed and new pathways in hospitality and culinary will be essential to this community as well as to that region. I feel very confident in noting Wynn, as the other developer in this region, is very committed to providing access to new jobs. I think that's a very important consideration for the Commonwealth, that these can be new jobs and net job gain as our developers work with us in building capacity, instructional capacity, as they have talked about, capacity for facilities where we may be challenged in having enough space to do something like culinary training, and collaborating to using community resources. I left the meeting with a strong spirit of continued collaboration, continued planning that I think is needed, not just in this community, but across the Commonwealth, even in my own community in Springfield, where we have to work on building those pathways. But I can commend the excellent choice that Wynn Resorts has made in bringing somebody on who has a history in workforce development that I really think gets to the heart of our legislation, which was to create net job gains and economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LePage. Thank you. All right, Mr. Frank Parker now is here, so I'd call on Mr. Parker, and the next speaker will be, and I'm having a little trouble reading the signature, Stephen Manel, I think, of a councilor from Ward 2, would be the next speaker. So if you'd come there, Mr. Parker. Simonelli. Simonelli. I had a lot of trouble reading that. Mr. Simonelli, if you'd come down. Mr. Parker.
Great. Good afternoon. My name is Frank Parker. I reside at 28 Freeman Ave. I've appeared before you in my capacity as Vice Chairman of the School Department. I'm sorry, School Committee. Mr. Forrester heard that, I'd be in trouble. But with that, I don't mean to brag, but I go to the gym. And I go to Planet Fitness over to Assembly Row, or Assembly Square now, in Somerville. So I go there 3 or 4 days a week. I don't look as good as Richie Del Sola, but I try. So I've been going there for 4 years, and I've been watching the transformation of Assembly Row from the old Ford plant, Finest Warehouse, or whatever it was over the years. And I was sitting back all this time and saying, why not Everett? Because I'm looking at the constant development going along the Mystic River and the Malden River, but it's continuing the wrong side of the river. So at that point, 2 years ago, prior to Mr. Wynn coming to town, you had IKEA coming to Somerville, and it looked like a done deal of Suffolk Downs coming to Revere. Both bordering Route 16, and again, everyone would be stuck between the middle of it, suffering all the traffic, and getting nothing out of it. And like everybody else has said, well, why not us? Well, yeah, now it's time for us. And as the banner we had out here said, it's our time. And part of that our time was demonstrated by the vote that we had over a year ago of 87%. And people keep on throwing out 87%, 87%. But I'd like to break it down a little bit to kind of, you know, not so much from the macro view, but from the micro view, what this 87% means. Yes, it's the highest vote of any city or town that voted in the Commonwealth for a host party agreement. As far as the region goes, I think it's 25 points higher than what Revere did. Our friends in Revere like to put a spin on it and tell you, well, more people in Revere voted than Everett. True, because they got 15,000 more people than us. But as far as the best comparison, it's always apples versus apples. I want to compare Everett to Everett. 87%, what does it mean? We had a vote on a Saturday. the first time, I think, in the modern history of Everett that we ever had a vote on a Saturday. It's always been a Tuesday. Other communities might tell you it was cold that day that they voted in February. It was warm that day, that June. You know, us people in Everett, we get, you know, second homes and yachts we go to, and we could have done that instead of going to vote that day. But this was so important that we stuck around to vote. Now, I realize from a formality standpoint, you know, the ballots are separate, right? But it was the only thing on the ballot. It was the only ballot that Saturday. Whereas in other communities, it was an election day. You know, while in our neighboring community, the mayor was unopposed, there were other races to drive people to vote that day and then also vote for the gaming host agreement ballot. We didn't have that. Sole vote, one ballot only 87%. So, and then as a further comparison, and this was a truly remarkable vote because I never before in my life have I seen this community band together and vote for something. We've done plenty of times against, but never for. And I got a minute left. And lastly, the following Tuesday was the Senate race between Gomez and Markey. More people voted on Saturday than they did on that Tuesday. And please note that Congressman Markey represented this town for 37 years. And we still voted bigger, better, more, not just a majority, but a mandate on that Saturday than any other city in the Commonwealth. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. All right, Councilor Simonelli, are you here? Here you are. Mr. President. Ralph D'Agostino will be the next speaker, and Mr. D'Agostino, if you'd come down.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the committee. Even though Mr. Crosby cannot vote, he's still part of this committee. I'd like to first open up with a brief statement, please. To the committee. As we all know, there has been issues concerning conflict of interest, personalities, and where the chairman cannot vote on either locations. Question. What will happen if the vote ends in a 2-2 tie? And also, will that be a voice vote or a secret ballot? Number two, we'd like to know how is this vote going to work? Is it, are the committee going to vote on them separately or both together? And of course, the last, well, we know exactly when is this vote going to happen? Okay. So I'd just like to say thanks for the committee, and we the people believe you did an overall good job. Now I have questions concerning Mr. Nguyen. I'd like to also have a few statements. First of all, I'd like to know why he is not here today to answer questions. Is that fine? Is he here? Well, he's here. I'm just saying he should be here answering questions. I mean, we saw him once, but, you know, that's something else. But here's my statement to Mr. Nguyen. In Boston Sunday Globe, August 10th, 2014, there was an issue concerning $200,000 donated to the National Republican Party, big corporations. Since Everett is close to 95% Democratic, it seems to us that we, the people of Everett, will be controlled by big corporations. Okay. This has always been a fear to all the people of Everett. And to prove how much, just to prove how much Mr. Nguyen loves Everett, we would like for him to put in writing a few following conditions for the people. First of all, we would like him to help the senior citizens who have fixed incomes and with monies to help them supplement their income. Number two, is people laughing? I really wish you'd not laugh, okay? This is the people here. I ain't worried about this corporation stuff. Secondly, I want to see the veterans of all wars get better health and living conditions. Number three, special needs and the people with crippling disabilities a better quality of life, and also the homeless, more lodging for them. Number 4, if the casino is not granted in Everett, since Mr. Wynn loves Everett so much, would he clean up the contaminated site to help Everett invite growth and opportunity to the desperately needed section of Everett down there? I'd like these addressed to Mr. Wynn and a reply. Finally, we all need to work together, no matter where this location is. All surrounding cities should get an equal piece of the pie, okay, and enjoy the casino and be grateful for what we have and let greed and evil end. Life is too short. Good evening and God bless everybody.
All right, Mr. Simonelli, thank you very much. We're here to listen tonight and not to exchange. But at our next meeting on August 21st, we will be discussing the process for the vote, and all of you who are interested can follow us as we discuss that live stream. So we'll be discussing that on August 21st, but the process starts on September 8th, and we'll vote in public. All of the deliberations and discussions will be public as they have been in the past. That's all I'll say about that now. Mr. D'Agostino, Patricia Reardon is next, so Ms. Reardon, would you come down and take the seat? Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. D'Agostino, but the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. As they say in show business, that's a tough act to follow. Just think. This matter at hand could have been resolved with a good old-fashioned wrestling match between the mayors. And you can throw that little guy from Boston into the fray, because our mayor is up to the task. And that's my theme for this little talk this afternoon. Everett is up to the task. The casino issue has been a fascinating yet frustrating roller coaster ride for all involved, including the cities, the casino bidders, and the Gaming Commission itself. There have been so many twists and turns and savory and unsavory characters turning up as fast as the dandelions that my grandmother used to pick at Sweets the Circle. Surely Hollywood must be watching. In fact, rumors have it that Robert De Niro was already gaining weight to portray one of the mayors. I'm not saying which one, but here we are, all having survived and basically standing tall in face of ridicule, insult, and accusations. The late great track announcer at Suffolk Downs, Babe Rubenstein, would have had a blast describing this nip and tuck stretch between Everett and Revere. And Rubenstein would certainly have understood and appreciated the important role that these cities have played in the gambling history of eastern Massachusetts. In 1935, 2 racetracks opened in Revere. Their great success for decades established Revere as the gambling capital in all New England. As far as Everett's participation in gambling can best be summed up in an anecdote from the 1950s. During an annual 4th of July parade, a spectator yelled out that if he threw a stone into the crowd, the odds were 7-1 that he would hit a bookie. No bets in that one. But times have changed. Greyhound dog racing has been banned, and Suffolk Downs is praying for a miracle in the rapidly declining racing business, whose northern tracks require all-weather surfaces for both main and turf courses to even try to compete for more business. And in Everett, 63 lottery agents have replaced the bookies. Well, sort of. One thing that hasn't changed is that Revere still has more trees than Everett. We don't deny that. We never claimed to be a leafy suburb of Boston. In fact, half the trees we have were probably borrowed from Medford and Malden. Let's face it, we are a nitty-gritty, blue-collar town that does what it has to do to get things done for the community as a whole. So whether it's trees, or on the high school football field, or with a casino on the horizon, Everett is up to the task. Speaking of the nitty-gritty, let's get down to the specifics in a creative kind of way. For purposes of comparison, let's stretch our imagination to picture both developments as they would appear under ideal conditions. Each would build great casinos, perfect hotels, and improve road and traffic conditions to everyone's satisfaction. Get the picture? We are comparing apples to apples. Now, as I see it, we have 4 important questions to answer.
All right, Mr. D'Agostino, thank you very much, sir.
I can't.
You'll leave it with us.
Thank you very much.
We'll read it.
We'll take your written remarks, though. You've written them out, and we'd be delighted to have them for the record and to read them. Yes, sir. It was. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Patricia Reardon is the next speaker. Patricia Reardon, are you here? David Morris. John Hanlon. Mr. Hanlon. And the next speaker would be James Saketa. So if you'd come down, Mr. Saketa, if you're here, and so we can proceed. Mr. Hanlon.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, and my Mayor, Carlo Di Maria, thank both groups for having us here tonight because this is the result of a lot of hard work. I've been to a lot of your meetings, and I've only spoken at one, and because I thought it was the last meeting. So I'm here to speak at this one, too. And only because I like to learn what I want to talk about before I say anything. But I want to talk about what was mentioned at the last meeting, and that was the Everett traffic going into Charlestown. And I don't want you to go away thinking that that's a true statement, because it's not true. If we take a look at what's going into Charlestown and what's happening, there's 6 major corridors, I'd say, that go into that Rutherford Avenue and from Broadway. And one of them is Dexter Street. And what comes out of Dexter Street is automobiles, cabs, trucks, oil vans, tractor trailers with produce in them, none of them from Everett, and none of them coming to Everett. Next one would be Beecham Street. What comes out of Beecham Street mostly is automobiles, tractor trailers that are, and oil containers that are going northbound. So they go through Sullivan Square and they go into 93 North. Some of them all come back into Everett and they go into Revere Beach Parkway to hit on 16 East so they can go on 93 North also. Another corridor that we have is Revere Beach Parkway, and there's 2 sections of Revere Beach Parkway. One is the one that comes from the 93 area from southbound coming from the North Shore. And the cars that are coming from there, that they leave on exit 16, on Route 16 to come down into Everett. And those cars are coming from Saugus, Danvers, Dedham, I'm sorry, not Dedham, Revere, Chelsea, Lynn, and Windsor. And they all come down on Route 16, come around the Sweetser Circle, and go down onto Lower Broadway. The other thing is Main Street. Main Street, we got cars that come from Malden, they come from Saugus, and they come from Danvers. And I did my own survey on Main Street to see what kind of cars were coming down Main Street. 18% of the cars that come down Main Street to go into Sweetser Circle are from Everett. The others are not from Everett. Broadway is the same situation. And 21% of the cars that come from Broadway are only from Everett. The rest are not from Everett. So when we say that all the traffic is coming from Everett, it's not. It's coming from lots of other places. Everett used to be called the gateway to the north, and some people still call it that. It used to be the old Newbury Turnpike that started in Everett and went all the way to Newbury. That's where the traffic is coming from. How do we eliminate that traffic? Because where that traffic is going, it's going to Boston. It's not coming into Everett. It's not Everett going to Everett. All that traffic is going to Boston because that's where they work. And when they go onto Rutherford Ave, which is going through Charlestown, they're not really going through Charlestown neighborhoods. There's no streets off of Roosevelt Ave that go into Charlestown. There's more streets off of Lower Broadway that go into Everett than go off of Roosevelt Ave into Charlestown. So we know that we're not talking about Everett traffic, and I want you to understand that all that traffic is not coming from Everett. If there's a way to change the traffic that comes out of Route 16, which is to have 2 toll booths on the Mystic River Bridge going in and out, and that's how it changed to come into Everett, because they made it one-way toll only going into Boston, so everybody came through Everett, so they wouldn't have to pay the toll. And if you look at night, in the evening, if you look in the evening of the traffic coming back into Everett, you'll see it's half of the traffic that goes out, because they now can go home over the bridge and they don't have to pay any fee to go over the bridge. That's why you don't see that major traffic coming back into Boston. And if we want to talk about the casino now, what happens with the traffic coming from the casino? Well, let's say coming down 93, and they're going to get off at either exit where Route 16 is, or further back even, at Roosevelt Circle. They're not going to come into Charleston at all. They're going to come down. Is that my time? Mm-hmm. Wow, wow. I didn't know we could talk. Next chapter will be next meeting, maybe. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you. James Saketa, and then Councillor Mark Casey.
I think I can continue with what he was going to say, because I had the same thoughts. I happen to have lived in Everett all my life. I said that at the last meeting. And traffic was what I was going to talk about also, because I'm very familiar with all the traffic about that bridge. If it wasn't $3.50 to go over the bridge, they'd all be going the other way, and Charlestown wouldn't suffer for it. And talk about Revere and Route 16, at one time, Revere Beach was a place for everybody to go, all the amusement. We used to take our families there, sit on the beach, the roller coaster, the cyclone, the dodgems, the nautical. All these people that were in Revere got tired of the traffic going in that direction, because they don't have a surrounding area of land like Everett has. They got the ocean on most of the Revere section. Nothing can come through the water and go to the new casino that they want to build in Revere, but Everett, we got Route 93. And by the way, the talking about that circle in Sullivan Square, they did have an overpass, and it rotted out, and the people in Charlestown never said, hey, build another overpass. It rotted out. Where the hell have they been for 20 years? I drove through there, Boston, and from my house on Broadway to Boston to do electrical work for 35 years. I know what it was, and I kept going to work and being in that traffic saying, oh my God, when it's going to end? But we have the best area for a casino. It would be ridiculous if this, you decided on having it in Revere. They had it once there. The people of Revere said, tear it all down. I had relatives that owned a place on Revere Beach. They were thrown out. The thing is, in Everett, we have the people want it, we have the right spot for it, and all these high-rise buildings in Boston, and they're talking about one high-rise building. I worked on 15 of those high-rise buildings. They employ a lot of people, and the people that are going to go to the casinos are going to be there after the rush hour. And they'll be there and they'll spend money there, and they'll be enhancing the whole thing. And it's not going to be that big a deal with the traffic as they all say it is going to be. And you know, I put my son's name on the list because he is much better orator than I ever will be, because I was an electrician, a musician. I told you that before. And I enjoyed being with the Gaming Commission. I wish you make the right decision, because we really need this. I know from experience in my life in Everett, we are the only place for that casino to be, nowhere else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saketa. Councilor Marchese, Councilor Mike Marchese? All right, then Joseph Saketa. Followed by Stephen Saketa. So Mr. Stephen Saketa, if you could come down to the ready table. Mr. Joseph Saketa.
Steve's my brother. I don't think he's made it here. Got held up at the office.
All right.
One of us has got to do the work back.
Surely.
My name is Joe Saketa. Earlier you asked when we come up to say where we're from, and that's pretty much what my speech is about. I'm from Everett, but I currently live in Topsfield. I debated quite a bit of time on whether or not I should speak here tonight. Although I was born in Everett and lived in Everett my first 35 years, I don't live in Everett anymore. And although I operated a business in Everett for over 25 years, my business isn't in Everett anymore. However, if you have ever been part of Everett, you know that even when you leave Everett, Everett never leaves you. I'm just one of the many former Everett residents, former Everett employees, and business owners that still have strong ties to the city that we love. Our families and our jobs may have taken us elsewhere, but we keep coming back to be part of the Everett community. We do this through our involvement with the Everett Chamber of Commerce. We do this with our involvement with one or more of the Everett service organizations, such as the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club, the Lions Club, the Elks, the Knights of Columbus. We do this by serving as directors, trustees, corporators, and volunteers at Everett banks, hospitals, senior centers, and youth programs. We own property in the city. We are the E-Club. We are the Italian American Association. We are the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick. We are proud of our school system, proud of our football team, proud of our cheerleaders, proud of our music program, proud of our libraries, just to name a few. Being from Everett, our blood is crimson, and we roll with the tide. We are proud to be the gateway to the city of Boston. The city of Everett publishes 3 competing newspapers, and all of them are able to survive because Everett is hungry to read about itself and its people. These newspapers are distributed locally, but travel near and far to both current and former Everettites to keep us up to date about what's going on in our hometown. Regardless of where I travel, I'm proud to tell people that I'm from Everett. And regardless of where I travel, I always bump into someone else who is from Everett or at least knows somebody from Everett. And who in this room doesn't visit Rocco's or Cafaso's or O'Hara's at least a couple of times each month to say goodbye to a friend or relative that has been called home? You see, for most of us, the road to heaven passes right down Main Street in Broadway, Everett. It's not unusual for an Everett wake or funeral to be an Everett reunion as we gather to pay our respects. The face of Everett has changed in recent years, but the heart of Everett has never changed. We are and always will be Everett. We are Everett proud, Everett united. And hopefully soon we will have the opportunity to share our heart and our pride with the people from all over the world that come to Massachusetts, that come to Boston, that come to Everett, our Everett, to visit a world-class resort. Does Everett desperately need Steve Wynn? Not really. Does Everett desperately need the Mass Gaming Commission? Not really. Is Everett asking for help from Steve Wynn? Absolutely. Is Everett asking help from Massachusetts Gaming Commission? Again, absolutely. Please give Everett a shot, and Everett will make you proud. We'd love to make you part of our family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All right, next is Councilor Richard Del Sola.
No, he already.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Okay, sorry.
Huh? Councilor Della Sola, and followed by Patricia Gentili. President Gentili, if you'd come down and sit.
Good
at the
evening.
ready
I
stand.
just want
Good
to
evening.
thank the board again. It's been a long road for you people and the residents of Everett. I spoke at the convention center a while back. And last meeting, I apologize to the residents. I was here, but I had to leave for emergency at work. I had a lot of topics I was going to speak on, but all the speakers ahead of me answered a lot of my questions and asked the topics I was going to ask. This casino is a great thing for Everett. I'm hoping the landscaping, I'm more excited about the landscaping, what's going to be happening, the stores, the shows, the concerts. And I'm just hoping that this is a start to beautify the river, the Mystic River, and maybe continue all the way towards Malden. So we'll be almost an idol of whoever's going to come after us and continue beautifying the river. We have the traffic issues. If there's any issues, I'm sure, once this decision is made, I hope it is in Everett. If there's any other issues, I'm sure Steve Wynn, the way he's been from start to today, has never disappointed anybody. I just feel that Everett needs this, deserves it, and wants it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilor. President Gentili and Senator DiDomenico will be the next speaker. President
Good afternoon,
Gentili.
Commissioners. My name is Patricia Gentili, and I'm president at North Shore Community College with a campus in nearby Lynn. Today, I'm joined by Bill Hart, who's our executive officer at the Massachusetts Community College Executive Office, and Bill is from Everett. I had the pleasure of testifying before your committee on behalf of the statewide community colleges in June, and again recently in support of public-private training partnerships. As Bob LePage, who was up here a little while ago, spoke about, the community colleges in the Commonwealth are working very hard together in support of the employers. Here in Region A, Bunker Hill Community College, North Shore Community College, and Roxbury Community College have been working in collaboration with WIN executives on future training partnerships. As I've described previously, I started with North Shore in January 2014, but prior to that, I was dean at Atlantic Cape Community College in southern New Jersey and oversaw the Casino Career Institute as well as other responsibilities. In that position, I worked closely for 14 years in partnership with all the casino and hotel resort properties in Atlantic City. During my tenure with Atlantic Cape, I traveled extensively to many new gaming venues to help public higher education, gaming commissions, enforcement agencies, and other entities with education programs geared to the gaming industry, including domestic and international partnerships. And that's what I wanted to point out. From 2003, for about 10 years, I worked with Macau Polytechnic Institute as when Macau was coming to the fore in Macau, and helped to develop the collaborative relationship between Macau WIN and the joint venture partners of Atlantic Cape Community College and the Polytechnic's Casino Career Center. Due to this positive relationship established by Atlantic Cape Community College, the Macau Public-Private Training Initiative was very successful in placing local residents in the thousands of new jobs created by this new casino. As WIN looks to establish a presence in eastern Massachusetts due to its positive past collaborative agreements with public community colleges, I look forward to a strong public-private endeavor to ensure that area residents are given opportunities to get the training and the education needed to take the thousands of jobs that will be created with the casino resort in Everett. Thank you for the opportunity again to address the Commission.
Thank you. Thank you, President. Senator DiDomenico and Jeffrey Smith will be the next speaker. So if you'd come forward, Mr. Smith, Senator.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. I have been, as you know, I have not spoken publicly at any of the meetings at this point. But I wasn't going to speak today either, to be honest with you, because of my role in passing this legislation. But I feel it's important for you to hear from me in terms of how my interaction has been with the Wynn Resorts folks and what they have brought to the table, not just for Everett, but for Charlestown and the surrounding areas. I have met with them on numerous occasions, and they have been both honest, open, trustworthy, and sincere in their talks with me and with numerous groups across the region. When John Taco and Steve Taco came on board, and now Bob DeSalvia, who is a star among stars, they have shown the people that they are going to be doing what they said they're going to do. And I don't think there's been a group out there that has met with so many community groups, so many individuals, and explained to them what they want to do with this project. So I'm here to vouch for them in terms of their integrity, what they've brought to the table. And also, while I'm up here too, I wasn't going to mention this, but I am now, MAPC wrote a letter recently to you folks. And I know they have great intentions, and they are good people as well, but I do have some disagreements in what they had in that letter. I know Mayor DiMaria has put those in writing. I've read his response, and we are on the same page on many of those issues. So I just want to voice publicly my disagreement with some of those issues that they brought up in terms of traffic and mitigation. And I will be speaking to you if you need to hear my thoughts on that in the future. But I want to just speak for, and really vouch for the Wynn people. They're good people, and they're going to do great things for this community. And I'm in the bad place of being a state senator for my friends in Charlestown and the state senator for my friends in Everett. And I have been kind of the conduit caught in the middle in this whole discussion. But I know that they have been, Wynn has been very, very open and honest with the folks in Charlestown too. And I find them to be very, very trustworthy people and genuine in their desire to do good things for our communities, both Charlestown and Everett. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator. Jeffrey Smith. Mr. Smith?
Hi.
And the next speaker would be Jim Mason. So, Mr. Mason, if you'd come down. Mr. Smith.
I'm speaking on the behalf of the MBTA and Boston Harbor Cruises. I'd like to see, regarding the recent article of the ferry system that they have planned. I'd like to see the Wynn Corporation and work as a partnership with Boston Harbor Cruises and MBTA until developing a commuter ferry service between the casino, Long Wharf, and Logan Airport with their developing a commuter ferry. Another thing I'd like to see is, one thing I noticed when moving to Everett is they don't have postcards of Everett. And with the Wynn Casino, I'd like to see that be part of Everett in terms of postcards. And I just want to wrap it up by thanks for having me come and speak on behalf of Boston Harbor Cruises.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Jim Mason. Peter R. Locchiardi. No. Good evening, sir.
Give you my profile, just a little bit of my background in the community.
Great, good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for giving me the opportunity to come before you. My name is Peter R. Locchiardi. I'm a certified financial planner. I have lived in Everett for over 60 years and have owned my firm here in Everett for over 32 years. My wife and I, and 4 children, are products of the Everett school system. Over the years, I've been involved in many Everett community charitable, social, and governmental activities. Today, I wish to give the members of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission some of the reasons to illustrate why the Everett Wynn Casino development stands way above the competitor of the developers for the Revere development. Who are the Wynn Casino developers? They're not only a 5-star, but a 5 diamond, which is rated over the world as the highest rating you can have. A very strong financial firm that, because of its vast financial resources, it's my understanding, if I'm correct, that it does not need to borrow funds or perhaps a limited amount, as compared to their competitor. And because of the competitor's need to borrow funds could present some possible risks for the completion of the casino and fulfilling their very generous financial commitment to the surrounding communities. The developers of Revere, as I read in the newspaper, have shown several non-profitable years, whereas I believe the reduction in their revenue was quite substantial last year, whereas the Wynn Group has shown many years of profitable performance results. This may present a possible problem for Revere Group, as I mentioned before, because of the very generous commitments. It's very nice to say you'd like to do something, that's the promise, but the performance is really what counts. The reputation of Wynn is impeccable. They represent the gold standard of the casino industry. They are an employee-friendly employer, as evidenced by the number of employees that have been employed for many years. This track record bodes well for the people that Wynn will be hiring for the development. Also, I might add that Wynn has offered to employ the employees of Suffolk Downs if their jobs are displaced. The Everett location. Its proximity to downtown Boston and access to the Wynn Casino via roadways, routes 93, 16, and 1, and waterway travel using shuttle service and covered riverboat service year-round, will also be able to transport visitors to Wynn from cities and towns located on the seacoast, north and south shores. This waterway travel will alleviate some of the roadway traffic, and this, coupled with the enhancement of the infrastructure that I'm sure that Wynn will be very much involved in helping to solve, will help to relieve much of the traffic movement. Because of the location of the Wynn site at the furthest end of the city of Everett, it would have very little impact on the line and village areas of Everett, unlike the Revere location, which would be on the doorstep of East Boston, the residential areas, and a hindrance to the residents of Winthrop. As you know, East Boston overwhelmingly opposed the location of the casino in East Boston and Revere. The Everett Casino project will totally clean up the huge hazardous waste site, and Wynn has also proposed to use clean strategy by using oysters to clean up the polluted water of the Mystic River that would surround the development. The Everett Wynn Casino would not only be a boom to the city of Everett, who will be the recipient of yearly revenue and job opportunities, but it will serve as the catalyst to attract new businesses to the city and cause property values to increase in value, as well as have an impact on helping the business real estate tax issue.
All right, Mr. Cocciardi, thank you very much.
Okay.
The next speaker is Bruce Desmond. Mr. Desmond. And then Councillor Peter Napolitano. Mr. Desmond.
Thank you very much. My name is Bruce Desmond. I'm from Somerville, Massachusetts. The last 16 years I served as Alderman at Large in Somerville. This is the first year I've been out of office in over 20 years. During that time in office, I spent a lot of our time developing Assembly Square area, working with the Commonwealth very closely with smart growth development policies, transit-oriented development policies. And that's just beginning now to come to fruition as we finish one phase and we go into another. But during that time, we also spent a lot of time developing Lower Broadway. We had a lot of no-interest loans so people could improve their storefronts. We widened sidewalks and redoing that portion of Broadway now, the entire infrastructure with new utilities and repaving it, all in hopes of increasing the business in that area. My only fear with a casino being located in Everett is gridlock coming out of Sullivan Square in Charlestown. Right now, ever since they tore down that overpass there, traffic gets backed up into Lower Broadway, it gets backed up going the other direction on Washington Street, and I can only see it getting worse. And the mitigation will be there, I'm sure, but whether it can really be enough to stop that, I'm not positive. I just wanted to raise that concern to you folks. I believe that a casino in the Revere, East Boston area would serve much more of a positive, have much more of a positive impact on a lot more people, and that less negative impact on people in that area. So with that, I just want to say thank you. I am a proponent of casinos. I want you to know that. And I think wherever you put it, it will be a success. And I say this with all respect to the folks in Everett. They're great people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Desmond. Councilor Napolitano.
Good evening. My name is Peter Napolitano. I'm a city councilor in Everett. I'm a third-generation Everett resident, and this is my second opportunity to speak before you. I did testify in Boston during the hearings. First of all, I've been in Everett, lived in Everett all my life, raising my family in Everett. We are a very depressed community as far as, we've lost a lot of industry over the years, and this is a golden opportunity for the city of Everett to take an area of the city that has been highly contaminated and be able to turn it into a viable piece of property. Now, by comparison to the Revere project, we were looking at a 3-star project versus a 5-star project. Now, what is exactly going to draw business into the region? Okay, people come into to Boston to go to the Revere Casino. They're going to be coming from the airport and funneled up through East Boston, further away from Boston. At that point, then they really have no reason to come into town to be able to spend money in downtown Boston, take advantage of our history, of the resources, the entertainment that's in the city of Everett, the city of Boston. By comparison, you've got a lot of development going around where the project in Everett is going to be built. Okay, what is going to enhance that area that much more? Now, residents coming into the region from Logan are going to have to be forced to go through the tunnel into Boston. So they're already exposed to downtown area, and then the casino is right there on the edge. Okay? With all the development going around, this casino would enhance that area. It would lend value and attraction to both the city of Everett and the city of Boston. So I think in most cases, you're going to be looking at what people are going to be expecting. Yes, it's convenient for the city of Everett to have the casino, so our own residents don't have to drive down to Connecticut to gamble. But that's not the point. We're looking at a project we want to bring revenue and bring resources into the area. The Revere project is just too far out of Boston and doesn't lend to it being able to support some of the additional area, value in the area, as far as being able to go into town, see a show, have dinner. Okay. And as far as traffic goes, I mean, one thing I would like to point out, if you've ever driven through Bell Circle during rush hour, I'd drive down Lower Broadway anytime by having to deal with that. So I do ask you, your consideration in this matter. People of Everett are hardworking. We've don't have a lot of options as far as developing that area. With all the development going around that property, if the Wynn Casino doesn't go onto that property, what will? What has deep enough pockets to be able to clean that property up and be able to add it to be able to enhance the value of the overall area, both Everett, Somerville, Charlestown, Boston. So I ask you to seriously consider that there is a significant difference, not only in the types of projects here, but where the project is. We want people to come into this area and be able to enjoy all of the history and resources of the Boston area and the Everett area. And if they're coming through East Boston neighborhoods to go north toward Revere, they have no reason to come to Boston. So I want to thank you for your consideration, and again, thank you for another opportunity to speak before you.
Thank you, Councilor. Now that completes the list of people who had signed up to speak and were prepared to move to the closing remarks. I see that the mayor is not here at the moment.
He's in the back.
Here he is, yes. So we'll move now to the closing remarks. As the mayor's coming forward, though, let me say how important it was and is to the commission to have heard all of your comments tonight, and those we heard last night and those that we've heard throughout the process. Some of you are nice enough to make compliments to the commission, and I compliment all of you for coming out time and time again to express your thoughts, whether those thoughts be supportive, whether they be negative, or whether they be simply thoughts that were designed to alert us to things we ought to be careful about. This is really the essence of democracy, and I am delighted to be participating in a process that all of you have worked so hard to participate in and so thoughtfully to bring considerations to the Commission for its attention. So with that, Mayor Di Maria, I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, members of the Commission. I was really thinking more like Andy Garcia played my role than Bobby De Niro. But one time I was very thin, actually, and then I became an elected official. And in the 20 years, I think I put on about 10 or 15, 20 pounds every year being elected official. As you can see, dealing with Councilor Simonelli is one of the reasons why I eat too much. But I will get on a diet soon. I'll do something. You know, I was driving down 99 this afternoon to meet some people in Boston. I left at 11:30, and it took me about an hour to get into Boston, and down the new bridge. And I finally get there, and I see a Boston police officer on detail. So I pull up on the road, and I get out, and I look down on the bridge under the underpass, and there was nothing going on. I called my office to call the city of Boston. They didn't know why there was a Boston police officer there. We actually have DCR looking into it also. Both ends of the other underpass were shut down. Then after my phone call, the Boston police officer left. Today was our date of our hearing. I was a little disappointed, and if you need to further that investigation, I'd love to provide you with any information you need, but that was a little disappointing and disheartening to understand. Because I don't play games. You know, my whole life I've been a straight shooter. Unfortunately, being the mayor of the city of Everett, and this is the quote I gave the Boston Globe, being the mayor of the city of Everett, sometimes property owners in the city who own property, you have to deal with them. And they may not be the best people, but you try to get what's the best for your city of Everett. And that's what I've been trying to do my entire life, is trying to do the best for the city of Everett. 20 years ago, I ran for office. I think I told you why. I was a co-op student at Northeastern. But 7, 8 years ago, I ran for mayor because I saw the animosity in the city that was happening. You know, we had two factions in our community, and they kept going at each other and really dividing the community. And that was the reason why I ran for mayor, is to really bring the community together. I talked to tons of kids why they leave the city. You know, and I just want to also just comment that the young man who spoke this afternoon, Anthony DePiero, is actually my cousin's son. So, you know, very proud of him coming up here and making his maiden speech, because I will be running him for office next year. Just trying to figure out the right seat to run for. Yeah, I think actually my mother lives in Ward 2. I think he'll have to move to Ward 2. But this is a closing, you know, the closing remarks for the city of Everett. You heard some great testimony from Joe Sacchetta, who lived and born and raised in Everett. You heard you've heard Stephen Rocco from Rocco's Funeral Home speak about the chamber getting behind this project and why. You know, for years we've had property owners in the city that were undesirable, still are. They run scrap yards, and there's a few that are good, and they actually do the right thing, and they come in for their permits, and they do the right thing. And there's some that don't do the right thing, that actually have made accusations against the city. They were doing something wrong, and they make accusations against us. But they've been manipulating the city for too long, doing what they want to do. You know, so when I became mayor 7 years ago, I said to myself, I have to get better for our city. We have no vision. Who are we? Yeah, we're a great public school system. We have a tremendous football team. Nothing else. You know, no one can identify with the city of Everett. So I started out, and I did that whole vision process, and I've now created my planning department. This is all getting words from or advice from the secretaries, that once O'Connell, then by Leckie, saying what you got to do. You got to build more housing. You got to plan for your future. You have to vision what you want. Then get the proper, you know, get it in the queue, so the State House can see it. They can feel it. Be shovel ready. They tell me. You know, I've been shovel ready with a lot of projects and still haven't gotten no money for the city of Everett. And that check's not coming to me from when it's going to the people of the city of Everett. And what I want to do with that check is I want to make a great city. We're the only city in the Commonwealth without any connectivity to transit. Nothing. No commuter rail line, no Civil Line extension, no T station. no water taxi shuttle service. Look at all the other cities, Revere, Malden, Somerville, Medford. They're building all kinds of great things, tremendous things. Assembly Row, Stations Landing, what's happening down in Revere Beach, you know, with the Gandy development. Big stuff, hotels they're building. We don't even have one hotel in the city of Everett. You want to transform a community? You want to help a community? This is how we're going to help a community. Is Wynn going to save the city of Everett? They're going to help the city of Everett. You know, someone made the comment about the pebble, the trickle-down effect. That's what I look at them as. You know, and I love them. They're actually very nice people. You know, I've gotten to know them. They're good people. Just like if I were to be with you every day, I would get to know you and like you, and you would vice versa. But this project will do endless amount of things for the city of Everett. $30 million in revenue, not including what they'll do for meals taxes and hotel taxes. In the past 6 months, I've had 2 people reach out from foreign countries that want to build around Wynn. You know, you talk to people outside of this country, they know Steve Wynn. They know his product, especially casino gamers. They know his product. They go to his facilities. You know, Massachusetts wanted to compete against Connecticut. You know, why would we bring a Connecticut firm into Massachusetts? We have someone who has no ties to Connecticut. We have someone who can operate a facility, who has the finances and the resources to operate a facility that will last for 100 years, someone said earlier. This is a huge issue on your shoulders. I know it is. We have some politics, Boston politics, and then we have what should be really, what truly should be done for a community, and who really is going to run the best facility. So it makes your lives. I believe that you don't disband after the license is awarded. I believe there's still maybe you disband, but there's still a group that oversees the operations, and I know the state police is still involved. Ask them. I think they would want to deal with this group. I think this is the group of people. I mean, you want someone to run a facility that doesn't have no issues, have no problems. These are the people who can do that. You know, and that's why when I heard that Steve Wynn was interested, to me it was a no-brainer. It was just, I couldn't get, I wanted to show them that I wasn't really like, I really wanted them to come. You know, you want to be cool and calm. But when I saw that Steve Wynn wanted to come to the city of Everett, knowing what he's done in Las Vegas, being unfortunately a gamer, you know, going to Las Vegas and seeing what he's done there and what he can do, it's just endless. You know, for us, the opportunities are great. The jobs are great. They're not jobs, they're careers. You heard the gentleman from Unite here. He was so passionate. I actually started thinking, maybe I will leave the city being the mayor. Maybe get a job at Unite here in the hotel industry. Because I'd like to spend more time with my family, you know, who I just left behind on a vacation that, on my wife's birthday, to be here today with you. You're welcome. But it's my pleasure to be here. I didn't want this to go on the last time you're on the city of Everett and me not to be here. I think it was very important for me to be here. I am the elected leader of the city of Everett, but I'm just one of them. And I want to thank them, the people behind me who've been here at every meeting, the Everett United group, the business owners. Someone said earlier, this is the first time ever that we've all agreed on an issue. Even the people who disagree, like, it's more about the ills of gaming. But so that's going to happen if it goes to Revere. The ills of gaming will still happen. It's going to happen if it's in Springfield. That happens every day in the corner. Scratch tickets. I mean, the ills of gaming are there. But that's the only reason why they were against it. They weren't against it because the operator was bad or it's in the middle of the city. The access to it is great. You can come right off 93. You can come from 16. It's actually a pretty unique spot for a casino, I think. And I think a lot of things too is, I know when I game, I don't game at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. I'm going to work. It's usually at nighttime. You can't check into a hotel in the morning. You're going to check into a hotel after, I think it's afternoon. Sometimes it's early check-in or before 4. So the traffic improvements that they're going to make in our area are going to benefit everybody, the normal commuters going into work. What I'm going to do with the money that goes to the city of Everett is build the infrastructure in the city. I will make more plots of land along Route 16 and along the water accessible for other developers to want to develop. I will bond against that $20 million payment. I will use that money to build the infrastructure. I will build a commuter rail stop, hopefully with them. I will try to I will work with Secretary Davey, if he's still in office, to get the Silver Line to stop here in Everett and connect it to Assembly Row or connect it to Sullivan Station. So I can bring bring a higher, she'll bring more people into the city of Everett that want to live here, that want to own property. Get rid of the absentee loan ownership. I think we're about 60 or 50% owner, not owner occupied. That drives in a lot of different people that maybe you don't want. And I don't mean different as in race. I mean just people that don't do the right thing on a daily basis. People that don't have respect for your community. I want to drive the home ownership in our community. I think by connecting it to Boston, I'll be able to do that. As a young professional going into Boston, if I can live in a city like Everett, with great public school systems, great free sports programs, Everett's going to be a very desirable place, especially if I can get on a commuter rail line or a water taxi or a silver line and get into work. Mellon Bank talks about the infrastructure improvements, the bridges. Mellon Bank and I have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with them. They're a great corporation in the city. That bridge over there by we call it the Kiss 108 Bridge, it's going to be done anyways. It's not nothing to do with, it's already been designed, ready to go. So that's going to be done. I'm looking to connect a pedestrian footbridge on the old GE Parkland to connect over to Wellington Station. I'm going to do that. If I get a private developer or not, I'm going to go forward and bond against and build that pedestrian footbridge because what it does, people from Mellon now can walk to the station rather than getting in their car. That whole area of Main Street can walk down to the old former GE parcel and get on a pedestrian footbridge that Congressman Markey at one time had earmarked. Now Senator Markey had earmarked to do for the city of Everett. I'm going to do that. That's what we're going to do with this money. It's not going to go into the coffers. It's not going to lower taxes. There'll be some sort of lowering of taxes, but it's going to go into home improvement programs where we have money now that we've done a tremendous amount of houses over here in the city of Everett. I'm looking to build those programs up so we can offer money assistance to, like Councilor Simonelli had said, to the senior citizens, to the veterans, to the disabled, those kind of programs. That's what's going to happen here in the community of Everett. I can go on and talk about so many more things that we're going to do. But you've seen the Lower Broadway Master Plan. 4 years ago, 2011, 3 years ago, residents came together here at the Conley Center with Jamie and I. We month after month and said they wanted to see hotel. They didn't say casino because it wasn't talk. They wanted a hotel. They wanted marina. They wanted retail uses. We did all that process. I mean, hopefully you looked at that. We've got their buy-in. I mean, this is a product that the community is bought into. That it really transformed the community. And you have the best operator in the business. I know we have to put on this meeting today, but I know at the end of the day, I think you feel as passionate as I do that this group is probably the best for the Commonwealth. They will generate the most money for the Commonwealth, and not just for the people of Everett, but for the entire Commonwealth. And I think that's going to be a critical group. When we go in November for the election, so all this work we've done has not failed, but we go to November in the ballot box on election day, we can tout that it's Steve Wynn building a casino in an old, dirty, contaminated wasteland. Not even, I mean, you have Plain Ridge and you have Springfield, definitely, two great communities that I think people will, empathize with. But now you have this magnet. When people look at it and say, "Oh, well, Steve Wynn, that's going to be a great operation." Let's vote for it. I think that's going to play a critical role in people's minds when they vote in November, because everybody knows the product. Everyone. So in closing, thank you. Thank you for doing what you've done. I wrote all these notes, and I didn't even say one of these things on my notes, but picked on Old Ironside and Little Italy. It's true. You can actually access both those places from this facility. I think it's tremendous. I think the waterways and the whole cleanup. But in closing, thank you all to the four of you for what you've done in this process. I don't think when the Attorney General or the Governor or the Treasurer called you and said, hey, we want to appoint you, I don't know if you knew it was going to be like this, but I didn't know it was going to be like this. I didn't realize I was going to be in the Globe, and every second they were going to say something bad about me. But it's par for the course. And I love playing golf, so thank you very much, and thank you for all your work. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. DeSilvio, are there some closing remarks you'd like to make, sir?
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Mayor, again, I want to thank you publicly for all the support. Jamie, you and all the department heads, you've been terrific throughout this whole process, and we could not have done it without you. So again, thank you on behalf of Wynn Resorts. And I think it's painfully obvious to see why we love this community, because they are just one terrific community to be in. I want to thank all the residents of Everett. I want to thank the residents of the surrounding communities that came out tonight and the businesses in Everett that have supported us. So thank you all very much. In keeping with what you asked for, which was to update you from the last meeting and bring any new information to the table, I'm going to limit my remarks to those items. I want to first start out and talk about our project updates and specifically community support and the agreements. Since we were last together, we put together a significant Boston mitigation package. That package includes $20 million worth of improvements for Sullivan Square and other Charlestown roadways. And we divided that out by $5 million in immediate improvements and another $1 million a year for 15 years. So a grand total of $20 million to help the situation in Sullivan Square. On top of that, we've offered in that package another $1 million up front, another $1.6 million in annual payments supporting public safety, water transportation, and Charlestown community organizations. Also a hiring preference for Charlestown community residents along with the residents of Everett, and then a commitment for goods and services purchases for $15 million annually from Boston-based businesses. So it's an excellent package we put forward. We know you're going through your thoughtful review process, but I thought it's important that we note that because that is new information from the last meeting. Also, we've met with the Massachusetts Lottery. We are currently drafting the agreement. We've actually had a couple drafts going back and forth. We look forward to working with the lottery and promoting their goods and services along with ours. So that is moving forward. Also, we've had ongoing meetings with groups focused on veterans issues, Veterans Inc. in particular, ESL training through the Action for Regional Equity Group, and also education, as you've heard from the community college representatives. We're working not only, of course, with Bunker Hill locally, but North Shore and the entire coalition of community colleges, because they will truly be a great community partner for us all the way through the future. As far as our environmental mitigation package, I mentioned to you earlier we were going to file. Since the last meeting, we in fact did file on June 30th. The FEIR, and we have now taken input from the community and environmental groups. We've had meetings with the Department of Environmental Protection, the Department of Transportation, Department of Conservation and Recreation, with Charlestown, with Somerville, the MBTA. Those meetings are ongoing, and we are very hopeful that we will get our Secretary's certificate this Friday, the 15th. So it's been a tremendous process, over 7,000 pages in the document, including both the main body of the document and the appendices. And we've had a very thoughtful process in thinking about everything as it relates to transportation, mitigation, and the environment and sustainability. Next, I want to talk about site access. We've had ongoing and very fruitful discussions with the MBTA. Both Wynn Resorts and the MBTA are committed to the public process for land purchase. We are right now, we actually have an agreement drafted, and we are waiting to take that through the process that is laid out for any land sale that the MBTA does, and we're happy to move forward with them, and they have committed to us that should we be the successful applicant, that we would be able to move forward with a public process for the site. Next, I want to talk about design. I know that you've got a letter recently in your package that was from the Boston chapter of AIA. And I'd like to speak for a minute about design. Matter of fact, you have in the room these wonderful renderings that were worked on by our architects and team in Las Vegas. You know, Wynn Resorts stands behind its design and architecture efforts. We have been so incredibly recognized, as you see scrolling on the screen. Too many awards to sit here and mention. But this is an incredible team that has worked together. When you think of Mr. Wynn, you think of DeRuyter Butler, Roger Thomas, They have been working together for over 30 years to bring the highest performing assets to the gaming industry worldwide. And you know, this is not just the Wynn Resorts assets. You think all the way back. Think of the Mirage. You think of the Bellagio. You think of all the work that they've done with Wynn, with Encore, Las Vegas, and Macau. This is a team that knows how to do it, and the results speak for themselves. I know you heard some of the speakers earlier today talk about our results in a very difficult economy. You see our numbers continuing to grow, going counter to what you hear in the industry. Why is that? It's a combination of two things. Not only is it the wonderful buildings that Mr. Wynn and the team have put together, but it also goes to the heart of who we are, which is about our team members. And I want to just say that we'll put those buildings and our team up against anything out there in the world. And then finally, I want to also give my thanks. I know that you've gone through an exhaustive process. And you know, we've certainly enjoyed the process of making sure that we could present who we are as a company, as individuals, and as a team collectively. I know that we believe that you will reach the right conclusion. And the reason is because not only what the public sees here, but I'm not sure the public understands that you've got consultants behind you, that there's been countless hours that have put into studying all the documents that were produced, all the questions that were answered. Our team has made themselves available, and we really want to deliver for you. And as somebody who's got a sales and marketing background, the way I want to end is say, I'm asking for your vote. And we think that we can do the right job. This is the right community. The mayor and his team have been supportive. Our team, thanks Kim and to everyone back at the home base for supporting me in my quest here to see if we can get this project over the goal line. And we'd like to bring this wonderful Wynn Resort here to Everett. So we're asking for your vote and say thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right, that concludes all of the presentations, and we'll take everything we've heard into consideration, think carefully about it. As I said when we began, our deliberations begin on September 8th, and we'll proceed from day to day until we reach the conclusion, which we hope to do shortly thereafter. So with that, I would...
Move to adjourn?
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion of that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.